So I want to talk about the prodigal son tonight because I think the prodigal son is all about this question of grace and what it is and what Jesus was trying and is still trying to tell us and teach us about grace. And so the prodigal son begins with this young man who has grown up in his father's house, and one day he goes to his father and he says, "Father, here's what I would really like. And if you could do this for me, that would be great. I want you because, someday, no time soon, but someday you're going to die. I'm not wishing this on you. I just want to be clear about that. But someday you're going to die. And when you do die, my brother and I will inherit, quite a bit of money. And so what I would like, Father, rather than having to wait around until the incredibly sad event of your death happens, I would like my share of the inheritance now." And that seems like a reasonable request, don't you think, Father? And the father thinks, why is my son talking to me about my death? But okay, whatever. And so the young man says, "Here's what I want, Father. I want you to give me my share of the inheritance." That's a beard. That way you know that it's his father. And he says, all right. Here you go. He's kind of sad about it. Not so much because of the money, but he's sad that he thinks his son is going to go. He's going to leave. It's not that his son is saying, "Give me my inheritance because I want to take some time with it and I want to take care of it and be in charge of it." He's saying, "Father, give me my share of the inheritance so I can get out of here. I want to go somewhere. I want to experience life on my own. I want to be in charge of my own life. I want to see everything that's out there, Father. Give me my share of the inheritance. I'm going to put it in my pocket and I'm going to leave." And his father says, "Okay, here you go." And it breaks his heart. He doesn't want his son to go, but, he gives him that opportunity. And that's the way it is for our Heavenly Father. Our Heavenly Father says, here it is. Here is your life. I want you to learn and to grow and to try things and to stumble and fall and get up and try them again. And it breaks our Heavenly Father's heart whenever we get hurt, whenever we stumble and fall, whenever we hurt other people. But He gave us this opportunity out of love. Just like the Father of the Son says, "Yes, go." Our Heavenly Father says to us, "Go. Go learn. Go try. Go grow." So the prodigal son leaves. Now, when he goes, he has all of this money now, and he has to figure out what he's going to do with this money. He's thinking about it. And so, on the one hand, he could, he could help other people. He could go to school and learn and grow and better himself. That's an apple. Or a kumquat, either way. He could, buy a house. A big house with lots and lots of rooms. Yes. He could do anything, and it could be a house where he could welcome other people in, other people who are looking for space, other people who are needing shelter or a place to call home. He could do all of these things. He could do all of that, but he did what I did when I was very young. When I was growing up, video games were everywhere. It was awesome. And you could go to Chuck E. Cheese, which Chuck E. Cheese, when I was growing up, was awesome. Chuck E. Cheese now is lame. I'm sorry, but it is. When I was growing up, Chuck E. Cheese was wall-to-wall video games, and it was like a dance club. The lights were low, and there was loud music going on. Now it's just loud. It's not even music. I don't know. I feel like Andy Rooney all of a sudden. The pizza was so much better when I was little. And so we'd go to Chuck E. Cheese, and my dad would say, here's some money, and I would always go to Ms. Pac-Man. And I would spend all of my time playing Ms. Pac-Man. If you don't know Ms. Pac-Man is basically the same as Pac-Man, except she has a bow and a dot. And she would chase after the ghosts, just like Pac-Man. And so I played Ms. Pac-Man a lot. And as a result of this investment, me taking my money, my inheritance, as it were, and using it on Ms. Pac-Man, I got really, really good at Ms. Pac-Man. In fact, to this day, I am really, really good at Ms. Pac-Man, which translates to no other skill whatsoever. Except for the fact that when we do find ourselves around a Ms. Pac-Man machine and I have a good 20 minutes to kill, I can put a quarter in and spend it playing Ms. Pac-Man, which is really a waste of time. Don't do that. But it's almost what the son did. He said, okay, I could do all of these constructive things that help other people, all of these things that help myself to be a better person, or I could waste all of my money on Ms. Pac-Man and junk food, and I will get nothing out of it. Sounds good to me, so that's what he did. He said, I'm not doing any of this stuff. That doesn't sound fun. I'm playing Ms. Pac-Man and eating junk food, and that's what he did. And before long, he kept putting quarters in that machine. And back when I was growing up, that's what you put in video games, by the way, is quarters. And then it was all gone. His whole inheritance. And then he didn't know what to do. Sometimes that's how we feel. We have been given this gift, and some of us, or a lot of us, have been brought up in the church, and then we get to a point where we say, you know what? I'm just going to step away from the church for a little while. I don't really need that, and so I'm just going to step aside. And then you feel like you've lost something. Like you're no longer worthy of it. Like you're no longer connected to it. And that's what happened to the prodigal son. He went out and he spent all of this money. He moved away from his father and his brother, and he wasted all of his inheritance. He wasted all of his money, and then he felt like, I'm not worthy of going back. I can't go back. But the longer he stayed away, the more he realized that back is the only place he could go. Now, when I was growing up, not only did I spend a lot of time playing Ms. Pac-Man, I also spent a lot of time lamenting the fact that I did not own a dog. I really wanted a dog. And I never got one. This is where you all go, oh, thank you. Well, now I do, but I didn't when I was growing up. And, you know, every boy needs a dog. And so, one of the reasons why I wanted a dog, one, I just thought dogs were nice, but also, because I didn't have a dog, I did not have the built-in excuse that, I'm sorry, I didn't finish my math assignment. Actually, I did, but the dog ate it. I didn't have that. Math. This is my fictional math assignment that I could never blame on the dog because I didn't have a dog. I couldn't say the dog ate my homework. I couldn't say that the printer jammed. I tried to print my assignment because we didn't have a printer. I couldn't say that I lost the file on my computer because we didn't have a computer. I really lived in the dark ages, apparently. I am, yeah, thank you. I didn't have any of these built-in excuses. I'm sure I came up with other ones, but I don't know what they were. Perhaps I spilled coffee on my homework. I don't know. Or Mountain Dew. But anyway, it's such a classic excuse. I don't know if anyone actually ever uses it. The dog ate my homework. Oh, we do. Excellent. Yeah. Or a goat. Did the goat ever eat your homework? Oh, okay. So, but this is what the prodigal son does. He says, you know what? I'm going to come up with an excuse. I'm going to come up with a fantastic excuse. A reason why all of my inheritance is gone, and I'm going to go back to my father, and I'm going to say, Father, this is what happened. And then I'm going to be sorry about it, because I am sorry about it. And he's going to welcome me back, and he'll say, yeah, you can sleep in the barn. That's fine. And that'll be okay, because it's better than what I'm doing right now. At least I'll be home, and I'll have something to eat, and I'll be warm, and I can be clean. And so he goes back to his father with this excuse. And this is us sometimes. When we find ourselves that we've spent this time away from God, and we think, oh, I'd love to go back to God. I'd love to sit and spend some time praying to God, but I'm not worthy of it. And I got to come up with an excuse that tells God why I haven't spent any time with God lately, or why I haven't been in church, or why I haven't done this, or why I haven't done that. I've got to come up with an excuse so that God will welcome me back. Prodigal son comes up with an excuse. And as he's coming up to the house, coming up to the farm place, it was this huge driveway, this incredibly long driveway. And as he was coming up, he was trying to think, he was going over his excuse in his head, he was trying to think of what it was he was going to say exactly so he could get it exactly right. And as he was coming up, his father saw him coming. And I'm sure in his mind he was thinking, my father is going to sit in his den behind his desk where I'm always terrified to go because that's where I go when I'm in trouble. And he's going to make me come in there and stand there and say what I've done, confess what I've done, and tell him my story. But instead, the father saw him, and the father goes running out. This man hasn't run in 20 years. He goes running out, and he grabs his son and picks him up. And the son is just shocked. How does this man run? How can he run? But then he picked me up. I can't believe it. And the father says, my boy, my boy, my boy. And he was so excited, comes back. You're here. I don't even care why you're so back. And he calls to his servants and he said, you need to get my son a new robe because frankly he stinks. And maybe some new sandals and some rings for his finger and everything else. And it's just, the welcome is so unbelievable and overwhelming. And the son just stands there in disbelief. He is overwhelmed with this welcome. Come back. Now, the most interesting part of the prodigal son is the very end of the story. You get the older brother. The older brother who watched all of this happen. The older brother who said, really, you're going to trust him with his half of the inheritance? I think you should give it to me, and after you die, I will give him an allowance. I think that would be a better plan because he's irresponsible. And then he watches as his younger brother leaves, and because he knows he's just going to go play Ms. Pac-Man and eat junk food the whole time. And then he sees his younger brother come back, and he says, okay, here we go. We're going to have some really good groveling now, some really good begging, and some punishment. There's going to have to be some punishment. And there's none of it. And not only is there no punishment, he gets the best clothes, he gets all of these things are given back to him. Not only does his father welcome him back, he doesn't say to his servants, by the way, lock everything up and make sure all the valuables are put away because I don't trust my youngest son who's come back. He gives it to him and says, here, you want this ring? It's a really nice ring. You want this robe? Do you want these shoes? Do you want the keys to the car? They didn't have cars. The mule? Here, it's the mule. Come back. And the oldest brother is incredibly upset. And he goes to the father and he says, how can you do this? And the father says, what you don't understand is that your brother was dead, and now he's alive. This is what grace does for us. That when we separate ourselves from God, it's a kind of death. And it makes God incredibly sad. But in his grace, we are always, always, always welcome back. And in that grace, we are made alive again. Amen. May the peace of God, which passes all understanding, keep your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. Amen.